what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Take It to the Hizzy Fantasy Football, TITTH number 29. I'm your host, Justin Bruni. This is my co-host, Nick Davis.
What's up, guys?
We got some good topics on the board today. We're going to be starting off with Josh Jacobs, a running back that we believe that everyone must have, including ourselves. So I'm going to start off here with Josh Jacobs. Definitely a must-have for me this year. He's my running back number 8. Going into last year a little bit, he had, 1,150 rushing yards on 242 carries, 166 reception yards. A pretty positive rookie season. Had he not been hurt and missed 3 games, he would have had a very good shot at challenging Kyler Murray for Rookie of the Year. Definitely think he could have grabbed that. But it is, these awards, season awards, they're very quarterback friendly, so I kind of get that. But going into 2020, making up for some missed games, gonna hopefully have 16 full healthy games. I think we're both on the same page for that. Raiders have a great healthy offensive line. They're bringing back all of their starters from last year. Pro Football Focus has them ranked at 11 for their offensive line in the NFL. So pretty satisfying outlook there. Easily see Jacobs getting over 300 touches this year. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing about his rookie season that did not look pretty in terms of fantasy value was his receptions. He only had 20 receptions for 166 yards, no touchdowns. But he is going to be the bell cow of that offense. They are going to feed him. John Gruden loves to feed the ball to his backfield. So, he's just going to be one. As long as he stays healthy, I mean, of course, this is with every player, so that's why it goes without saying now at this point.
Absolutely.
But as long as he gives us 16 games, he's going to be one of the top fantasy producers in fantasy.
And what I really liked about the Raiders is they're just bringing in more weapons on the offense, right? So you're drafting Henry Ruggs, Brian Edwards, you still have Tyrell Williams there, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow. They have great pieces around them. The offensive line looks really good. Just pulling it up here, I want to see what their preference was between rushing attempts last year and their passing attempts. Do you have that pulled up any chance for their team total?
I do not. The one point I did want to make is, with the new weapons coming in, such as Ruggs, being such a vertical threat, the defenses will not be able to stack the box on Josh Jacobs, and that's one of the things that a lot of people. That's not something that factors into your first analysis of a running back. Are they going to be facing 8 in the box or something? With their new weapons coming in, they're going to have the ability to, go over top, but also pound the defense, and they're going to use Josh Jacobs to do it. So just wanted to bring that up while you were getting your stats.
Yeah, I'm trying to find him here. Computer's running a little bit slow. I mean, either way, Josh Jacobs is in a great situation. They lost DeAndre Washington. He left the team. So there's a good amount of rushing attempts still to also be divvied up there from his absence. They brought in Lynn Bowden Jr. out of the draft. In the 3rd round, they need a respectable back behind him still. The Raiders do look like they are in all-in mode. They look like they're ready to make a deep run this year. You have a great O-line. You have a very efficient quarterback in Derek Carr. And pairing him with Josh Jacobs in a run-heavy system here, I think is going to be a very good pairing for the Raiders. Josh Jacobs, someone that you can grab at the end of the 1st round. I'm more bullish on the 2nd round. He's not someone that I want to go out and leap to grab in the 1st round. And once you get past like those first 5 to 6 running backs, you're starting to go into the wide receiver room. You're starting to look at the Mike Thomases, the Tyreek Hills, the Julio Joneses, and you're seeing like, maybe I can, grab a little bit of better value at the wide receiver position, and then maybe come back and get Jacobs in the 2nd. I've done a few mock drafts where I've been able to get Julio and Josh Jacobs, been able to get a Tyreek Hill and Josh Jacobs. So yeah, I don't mind that whatsoever. I've also seen some mocks, I don't know which one you have pulled up, but where he's gone at the end of the 2nd. So you could potentially get, a Zeke Elliott and Jacobs, or a Kamara and Jacobs, or if it's super flex, and you like spring for that quarterback in the 1st round. If you're, really heavy on Lamar or a Mahomes this year, you can get Josh Jacobs as your running back in the 2nd round.
Who do you think will have a better season, Kenyon Drake or Josh Jacobs?
Josh Jacobs. I have Josh Jacobs just ahead of Kenyon Drake in my ranking. So Josh Jacobs is RB8, Kenyon Drake is RB9, and I have Josh Jacobs, I want to say, ahead of, I don't have the rankings pulled up in front of me, but I want to say Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette,
I'll go through the first 10 picks of the last mock draft.
Okay.
CMC, Barkley, Thomas, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, and then a run on running backs: Zeke, Kamara, Henry, Jones, and Cook. And then it goes to some quarterbacks, the wide receivers, and then Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon, and Miles Sanders, and Kenyon Drake were all drafted before Josh Jacobs. So that was the one he was talking about at the end of the second round. At that spot, Josh Jacobs, I would almost take him over all of those, actually, except maybe Eckler, just because he's pretty productive in the pass catching room.
Right, absolutely. And they still have Jalen Richard there behind Jacobs, and I think a lot of people assume that he's going to be the pass catching
Scat back.
Yeah, the pass catching running back, right? Josh Jacobs didn't catch a lot of balls at Alabama. I want to say it was like 22 his senior year, something like that.
Didn't need to.
Didn't need to, exactly. The offense wasn't built for that type of gameplay. Didn't need the running back catching the ball out of the backfield there. There's just not too many statistics out there that are going to just pop in your face and be like, yeah, Josh Jacobs is going to catch a ton of balls this year. And I think that's why people are disrespecting him in PPR drafts, right? Because, yeah, the catches aren't there. You have guys like, Kenyon Drake right there behind him. I'm trying to think of another running back that can catch the ball that's, more PPR oriented. I have Eckler just ahead of Jacobs at RB7, so, just kind of a comparison. But in fairness, Eckler put up 1,500 total yards last year.
A small comparison of like who I kind of think like Josh Jacobs could take the trajectory of for career-wise, kind of like Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette didn't really have too many pass catches in his first couple years, but
absolutely.
It did develop last year. I mean, I was kind of surprised to see that he had like 3-4 receptions. I was like, what is this? Leonard Fournette's actually catching the ball.
76 catches on the year for Leonard Fournette last year.
So I do think that the ability is there for him. He just doesn't have to right now, and they're really just going to be giving him the ball on the ground. But he's one of – I mean – I watched a couple runs of him for sure, and he just kind of like spins and avoids contact. So like,
who, Jacobs?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So and he's like falling forward. So like, I don't want a running back that gets stood up, at the point of a contact. I want someone that falls forward 3 or 4 yards, and also tries to avoid it a little bit to kind of save himself, because a rushing attempt takes more physicality than a receiving than a reception. And that's just like stats. So
yeah, absolutely. No, he's an extra earner. Grabs those extra yards when he can. The guys that I did have behind him: Kenyon Drake, Miles Sanders. That was a name that wasn't coming to me. Nick Chubb, and then Leonard Fournette and Aaron Jones. So yeah, I'm really comfortable taking all of those guys. Taking all those guys behind Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs' really only downside is, no PPR action, but I mean, that can change on any play. One small shovel pass to a running back, it doesn't take that much. It's just about the focus of the offense, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case this year for Jacobs. It does look like it's going to be more downhill running in between the tackles, mixing in some outside run zones and all this. I love him a lot. For someone that's not going to catch a lot of passes, I got him ranked pretty damn high in my rankings for PPR. So if that doesn't show you enough, how much I love this guy, I could easily see him overtaking, an Eckler or a Joe Mixon, guys that I have ahead of him. It's just that I expect those guys to catch more passes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's as simple as that. So yeah, 14-team leagues, absolutely, I'll take Jacobs at the end of the first. In 12-team leagues, definitely want to grab him at the in the second round, whether it's in the beginning or I'm getting him for value at the end. So definitely pull the trigger on him. Any last thoughts on Jacobs?
Nope, we said it all.
All right, so yeah, he's our must-have this year. Go out and get him wherever you can. Who do we have up next, Nick? Who's our next must-have in 2020?
One of the guys that I'm definitely going to be taking is Evan Engram. Evan Engram is a tight end in New York for the Giants. He actually was depended on pretty heavily by Daniel Jones in the beginning of the season when he did play. One of the things that, the Giants fans have definitely let me know about is how injury prone he is. You know what? We just got to go with it. Like he's going to be one of those guys that if he is on the field, he is going to perform. The sports injury predictor actually has him missing like 3 games. So I kind of did like some stat math, and if he actually plays 13 games this year at last year's pace, he's looking at 110 targets, 70 receptions, 755 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Those numbers would have led the Giants, and I'm factoring in that he missed 3 games.
Probably would have been like a tight end 5 or 6. With numbers like that, if not closer to the top 5. You don't have to do a ton. in the NFL in the tight end position to be ranked as a top 10, tight end. So you don't have to do a whole ton.
Everybody just got spoiled from Gronkowski giving everybody like 1,200, 1,300 yard seasons, but that's a very high standard to set for just like tight ends in general. They're doing a lot of blocking and they're receiving, but there are receivers like Mark Andrews. Like he's definitely more of a receiver than blocker. But Evan Engram, if he's on the field, I'm all in on him, man. He's one of the top tight ends for sure.
Yeah, so Evan Engram, my tight end 5, someone that I'm really loving, who's falling down some draft boards. After the first couple of tight ends that go, I really feel like there's like a slowdown. Do you have our last mock up, like kind of the how many picks in between, after Zach Ertz? Because it's very traditional with the Travis Kelce, Kittle, Ertz, and then typically Andrews, and then I'm seeing a lot of Engram right after that. But I'm seeing that those first 3 and 4 are going early, and then there's a good wait. What do you have?
Yeah, so the Kelce and Kittle, first tier tight ends drafted in the 3rd round. Then there was a 3-round wait until they got to Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, and Zach Ertz. Then there was a round wait, and then it went Higbee, Engram, Henry, and Gronkowski.
Wow.
And then it was
Higbee.
It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-round wait until it got to Jared Cook and Austin Hooper. So these tight ends, they're going to be ran on, but it's going to be ran on in sections.
Yeah, don't make the mistake of rushing to get one of these top tight ends behind the top 3. I don't just think that Kelce, Ertz, and Kittle are going to be the only tight ends doing damage this year. Like you just mentioned, Mark Andrews, someone that I'm very high on this year.
Yeah, I love Mark Andrews.
Evan Engram, another guy I'm really high on. I really like the opportunity there. I guess the only thing that would be holding you back, injuries, right? Of course, we're all going to talk about it.
Hunter Henry.
Yeah, we're all going to say it. We're all going to say it. Yeah, Hunter Henry's in that mix too. The injuries are there. We know the history, but do we expect history to repeat itself? I mean, that's just a question you have to ask yourself. Are the things that you're seeing right now leading you to believe that he's going to be hurt again? I mean, the guy's a physical freak. I mean, just look at him. You can't look at these big body NFL players and be like, oh, that guy's going to get hurt this year. The guy's more athletic than you've ever been, since a 17-year-old in high school. Like, just stop. Hold yourself right there. Like these guys are building their bodies to go out there and take a beating. And that's life in the NFL. Your career literally can end on any one play. # Johnny Knox. Like that's just the way that it is. Alex Smith almost died a couple of years ago. Like
Zach Miller,
another Bear. # Zach Miller. You get what I'm saying. Like he should be healthy. If he's not healthy, don't blame it on anyone that's predicting that he was going to be healthy. Like the guy wants to go out there, put up numbers so he can get paid. That's what all these guys are trying to do. So don't worry about the health. My main issue is just all the mouths to feed. I love the Giants offense. Yeah. Saquon Barkley in the backfield, Mr. 101 from a few years ago, when you weren't on CMC, and he popped off on his rookie season, right? So Saquon Barkley, Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, and then Evan Engram there. Honestly, I think Evan Engram could potentially be their number 1 target.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that.
What would you say he was on pace for last year? 110 targets?
Playing only 13 games.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of a lot for 13 games.
Yeah, that's a lot for 13 games.
Especially at tight ends.
Absolutely. So the value is all there if he's on the field. For me, all these other mouths to feed, Barkley, Tate, Shepard, Slayton, that's my biggest concern. That's where I'm worried the most, and that's just why I don't have him in the top 3. I'd have him in the top 3 just based off of his athletic play and his opportunity. But there are a lot of mouths to feed. I think that he's going to be at least top 3 in targets on this team. But I think Barkley's going to be mixed into there. I really do.
Yeah, I honestly think like the offense kind of goes like this: is Barkley, obviously, and then we got Sterling Shepard, and then Evan Engram. Mm-hmm. So I kind of see how that's all breaking down. Everyone else, I'm not worried about. Like these 3 guys that we're talking about right now, those guys are the cornerstones of the New York Giants offense. So, there's a lot of mouths to feed, but, the offense is built for Evan Engram. As long as he's on the field, he's a great receiver.
I think we need to be worried about Darius Slayton. I think we need to be worried about Darius Slayton. I think that he's the guy that maybe people aren't talking about as much as they should be. A lot of people are talking about, oh, Golden Tate healthy. Oh, Sterling Shepard really healthy.
Is he like 32 or something like that?
Who, Tate?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's getting up there. I don't know his exact age, but yeah, his legs are getting up there for sure. Shout out Notre Dame. But yeah, a lot of mouths to feed. Darius Slayton, a lot higher on him, honestly, than these other guys. I mean, you know, if I look at my rankings, I'm sure that I have Shepard ahead of both Tate and Slayton, but I know that I have Slayton ahead of Tate, I think. And that's just the way that I feel. Like I feel that Slayton is going to be kind of the sleeper on this team. You know, not so sleepy, right? I mean, a lot of fantasy owners are aware of his success from last year. Highs, very high highs, very low lows, right? He, I think, had 3 games where he scored multiple touchdowns. Darius Slayton, he had 3 games of 2 touchdowns. And while that's, you know, not consistent, I do think that he's going to be a guy that, you know, can blow up some of these other names, you know, blow up their spots, right? Tate, Shepard, Engram, even Barkley from week to week. I see him as the riser on this roster, especially, you know, of course, in the wide receiver room, right? So I think he is going to have a bigger year than people expect. And, yeah, to be honest with you, that's the guy that I want the most as far as the receivers go.
So just pulling up some stats on Slayton, he had 2 games over 100 yards, one with 121, one with 154.
Oh, sorry.
And then there were 3 games with 2 touchdowns. 2 of them were in the games previous mentioned, and 1 game where he just got 2 touchdowns. So he had 84 targets. He played 14 games. There were some injuries last year, so that kind of like fed into like the high volume. But it just showed that he has NFL experience, and he did it. It was his first year, right?
His rookie.
Yeah. So NFL experience, coaches love that. New coach coming in, right? Joe Judge coming in. Yeah. So he knows that Darius Slayton can perform. They're gonna let him catch some balls from Danny Dimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then going into Dan Jones, right? Evan Engram, tight end, really reliable for Dan Jones last year when he did play. There's a good amount of chemistry there. Dan Jones still coming into his second year in the league. I think that he's going to lean on Engram a little bit more. The numbers say as much that he did when he was healthy. Obviously, you know, they were missing Tate for some of that. Shepard was hurt, you know, on and off. Shepard's always a guy that I'm high on just because he's a number 1 receiver that you can get at value. But for Evan Engram, I think, you know, starting week 1 going forward, he's going to be a guy that Dan Jones leans on early and often. He's my tight end 5. What round was he drafted in that mock? You know, I don't have an exact round where I say like, hey, you know, by this time he should be on your roster if you don't have a tight end. With a lot of these tight ends, I feel like they can just fall in your lap.
Yeah, he was available in round 8.
Round 8, yeah.
And Darius Slayton was right behind him in round 9. So, you know, 8, 9, 10, be looking to pull some triggers on some basically some sleepers, you know, or people being discounted. That's the best way to describe it. Yeah,
absolutely. So go out and get yourself some Evan Engram this year. You don't need to go out and you know, grab one of those top tight ends early on. Kelsey, Ertz, Andrews.
Yep.
Why is the other name Kittle?
Kittle, yeah.
Not coming to me. I don't know why. We already said his name.
Put some respect on his name.
We already said his name like 8 times. Yeah, he's like the only receiver they have on that team. Literally. So next up, we got Nick Chubb versus Kareem Hunt doing a little running back battle in that backfield. I'm just going to kind of start out here, and we're going to run through some of their props too coming up. So we're going to do Chubb versus Hunt, and then go over some of their props based off of what's going on there in Cleveland. So first and foremost, who do you want more? Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, where they're being drafted, Nick?
I want Nick Chubb. Even though he's still going to, I wrote a prop bet article. I'm expecting him to go under, but it's just under like 1,200 yards. So
1,250.
Yeah, 1,250. So
we're coming up on that later.
Yeah. So you know, he's gonna get 1,000 yards. Like, don't worry about that. But there's a lot of mouths to feed, especially Kareem Hunt. He's going to be getting some receiving downs. There's Odell, there's Jarvis, there's Hooper that just came on. There are some mouths to feed. Now they're starting to get continuity, so the offense is built around Baker. Like, there's nothing we can do about that. It's just built around Baker right now. But Chubb is going to do his work. He is going to get his 1,000 yards. He's going to provide that rushing attack. I would want him more than Hunt just because he's going to get me my 1,000 yards.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand where you're coming from. I love Kevin Stefanski coming over to the Browns. I think a lot of people are under the belief that, yeah, wow, Kevin Stefanski, look what he did for Dalvin Cook. He's going to come to Cleveland, and he's going to do the same thing for Nick Chubb. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. So Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, if you blended these players together, you would have the skill set and production of Dalvin Cook. In Cleveland, you have 2 running backs that need to do 2 separate jobs. Hunt's going to catch the ball in the backfield. Chubb is going to be a downhill runner. And I love what Stefanski's already done. You know, they added Jack Conklin to the offensive line. He signed a big 3-year, $42 million deal. They went out and drafted Jedrick Wills Jr., with their 10th overall pick. So that's huge for me. They've built up the offensive line. Pro Football Focus has them their offensive line ranked 6th for this upcoming season. So there's a ton of value for Chubb there. You know, if the team decides, hey, we're going to put the ball on the ground and that's all we're going to do, and Kevin Stefanski doesn't care if Jarvis Landry and OBJ come out in week 3 like, Thielen and Diggs did last year and start calling out Baker, start calling out the playbook. I don't think he'll really care, to be honest with you. He may very well run the ball into the ground and may not use Hunt very much. He's gone. He's the guy that brought Hunt in. So they don't necessarily have like a big allegiance to Hunt. But I know I've been saying all this Chubb. I'm passing. I'm gonna pass on him for his value. I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna need to pounce on him in the end of the first round, somewhere in the second round. And for me, having a guy that literally led the league in rushing yards behind you is just too risky for me. It's too rich. If I landed Nick Chubb in the 3rd or 4th round, I'm gonna be telling everybody. I'm gonna love it. But where he's going in the 1st and 2nd is just a little too rich for me. And being able to get Hunt in round 5, 6, 7? I think that's a little aggressive, actually. What do you have him at?
Nick Chubb actually went in the beginning of the 1st round. Kareem Hunt, 3rd round. Sorry.
He went into the 3rd round, Chubb?
3rd round, beginning of the 3rd round.
I don't mind that.
And then Hunt went in the 5th round.
The 5th round. That I think for both is a little aggressive. There's so much more upside for Hunt because he is going to have a role on the team. He's going to catch balls. And at the same time, he is the best handcuff in the league. I know people are going to be saying, "Oh, Latavius Murray."
Latavius Murray's a joke. He killed me last year.
He didn't kill me. He helped me out a lot.
He did not get the production I was expecting from him, to be completely honest.
He helped me out some really big weeks in some really deep leagues. So, shout out Latavius Murray. Sorry, Nick.
I must have not been putting him in the right weeks because I just remember just being.
There's a couple of weeks Alvin Kamara was out, but anyways, people are going to dog me. The Chase Edmonds, the Latavius Murray's out there. If Nick Chubb goes down, Kareem Hunt is instantly a top 10 running back in this league. Not only will he be the downhill runner in between the tackles, he will be catching balls out of the backfield. That's just the facts, folks. Nick Chubb, tons and tons of upside. Do I think he can hit the over? The over? We'll get to that because we're kind of already leaning on that a little bit too much. But absolutely, he'll get over 1,000 rushing yards this year. Is he going to get 18-plus touches a game? I don't really know. I really don't know because, as you mentioned, there's a ton of mouths to feed. Austin Hooper, David Njoku, OBJ, Jarvis Landry, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. Baker's going to want to get his, I'm sure, at some point. He's not going to just want to run the ball the whole time, So it's going to be really interesting to follow this team this year. The Browns, it's super crazy to have all this talent on the roster, right? So seeing what they do with it's going to be interesting. New coach, new playbook. What do you think? Any last thoughts?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not really worried about David Njoku. He's very athletic. I've seen him do his splits, and everybody has. But they're bringing in Austin Hooper because he has had Njoku has had some injury troubles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not too worried about him. I just see, they're right. You're right about Kareem Hunt. If Nick Chubb goes down, he's definitely going to go number 1 running back in the league. But I love Nick Chubb. I mean, he got almost 1,500 yards last year as a Brown.
No, it says a lot. It says a lot.
It's better than Peyton Hillis, and
oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really high on him. I feel like he can do a lot, and there's a lot more support around him, not just like more weapons, but they spent their 10th overall pick on an offensive lineman. Like, I wish Washington would have done that, but they want to go get defensive ends every year, so that's what their thing is.
You wanted that Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah, the dancing bear, man. Replaced Trent
yeah.
Williams, but they didn't want to do that. That's why I'm here and they're there. So, but yeah, those are my closing thoughts on Chubb and Hunt right now. Vegas line for Nick Chubb's season total for rushing yards is set at 1250. I think it's 0.5. But
yeah, 1250 and a half.
1250 and a half. So I think that is extremely high considering what the offense has. There's Austin Hooper that's coming in. David Njoku has been hurt, but we're pushing other people. He has all the talent in the world. If he's available, they might feed him. And then there's obviously OBJ and Jarvis. So there's a lot of stuff coming on. And as the season wore on last year, like before in the beginning, he was definitely getting the ball. But as the season wore on, when Kareem Hunt came back, the production fell off in terms of like touches and getting the volume.
Absolutely. So Kareem Hunt came back in week 9. There was only 3 weeks that after Kareem Hunt was back that Chubb had over 20 rushing attempts. So from week 9, week 10, week 11, Hunt was there, still getting acclimated, back onto the field with the team. Exactly, back with the team and everything. I mean, obviously he's doing that conditioning stuff like on his own, but I don't believe he was able to have any team related activities until that final week since the preseason. So
he's suspended.
Yeah, he was suspended. Don't kick people, okay, and don't get recorded if you kick people. Just don't be dumb. Damn, was that a slight to allow people to kick people?
I don't know who kicks people. I don't kick people.
I just throw shoes. All right, anyways. From week 9, 10, 11, those were the last weeks that Chubb had over 20 rush attempts. Finaling out the season from 12 to week 16, he had 16, 15, 17, 15, and 13 rush attempts. Why weren't they flooring it? Why wouldn't you keep giving the guy that's been carrying you the entire season the ball? Because there's another top 10 rusher in the room. That's why. And you're going to use all the weapons that you have. Chubb only caught, he had 49 targets last year, 36 catches. In those final weeks, he had 4, 5, 6 catches. 6 catches in 4 games. Like, the value is just it's not going to nosedive. I can't say it's going to nosedive. Nick Chubb is still a very, very important piece of this team because he does need to run in between the tackles. He does need to move the chains, and he needs to take the pressure off of Baker. But with Hunt there, can we really expect him to hit over 1250? I think that it's a good number. If I'm a bookmaker, if I'm Vegas, if I'm FanDuel, if I'm BetOnline AG, whoever, it's a good number to lay because it causes a lot of conversation like what we're having here. And, when I'm looking at it, I stay away. But, if you're gun to my head, under for sure. But this is a stay away prop for me. With both of these guys just eating at each other, you're just not going to see, tier 1 level production. One guy goes hurt, your eyes need to be on their props for the rest of the year because bookmakers are slow to change these numbers, guys. It could take a day. It could take 48 hours sometimes. So if you see a Hunt injury right away or a Chubb injury right away, pounce on those numbers. If they're still laying 1350 after Hunt would go down, I would grab that Chubb number. Same thing. If Chubb went down and they posted like 1,000 yards or 1,100 for Hunt, give it to me. I'll take it. I'll take that all day. It's just that for total yard props, I'm not going to be interested in either one. It's going to be similar too, I think, with the receivers there. I'm not going to be taking too many props from Landry or OBJ.
They're high. I've seen them when just looking at different prop bets. Mm-hmm. They're expecting a lot, but it's just Cleveland is just a hard team to really depend on. I wouldn't want to.
Well, it's still Cleveland at the end of the day.
It's still Cleveland at the end of the day. I'm excited to watch this offense, but they got to put it all together. One of the things that we need to start realizing is that bell cows are not a dime a dozen anymore. They're more, a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott, Josh Jacobs. We just mentioned him. He's kind of a bell cow, but when you
he is absolutely.
When you have
Dalvin Cook,
Dalvin Cook. When you have these bell cows, these front office rooms aren't going after other running backs. You don't see Jerry Jones trying to grab a Kareem Hunt to put behind Ezekiel Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
He's just trying to get someone to run the ball while Zeke is out for however long. But in these rooms, like Nick Chubb, if he was on another team, he would definitely be a bell cow. But right now they have two bell cow running backs, and they got to feed them both. You know, it's just they got to give them play on both sides. So
yeah, and the surplus of Chubb's stats last year without Hunt is just very dangerous for taking these props coming into this year. You just don't have enough viewership of that backfield being shared. You know, there's just not enough tape. You know, there's a good handful of weeks here, but you're also looking at those weeks where Hunt is getting reacclimated with the team, you know, getting back on the field for the first time. Now he's got a full off season. He's going to have, you know, the 4 weeks of training camp or 5 weeks, whatever it is, with his COVID training camp. And these guys are just going to have opportunities to show out. I don't think there's anything that Hunt can do other than, you know, kick another woman, you know, to prevent his touches. Like, I mean, he's going to have to get in trouble off the field or get hurt to not be eating into Nick Chubb's value.
One of the most telling signals is, you know, his production does drop off after, or his touches drop off after Hunt comes back. But week, let's say 11, he only got over 70% of the snaps one time in week 14. Before week 11, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and one of them was his first game in the NFL. 6 games where he had over 70% of the offensive snaps. So you see Kareem Hunt coming in and taking some of those shares, and that's going to, you know, once he gets to that 1,000-yard mark, you got to start realizing, like, those extra snaps that he was getting are no longer there. And
those first 3 games that I mentioned, where Chubb had over 20 carries at least, in those games, Hunt, his snap percentages, 55, 54, 50, 56%. Not very threatening. I mean, obviously
down the middle.
Yeah, split it down the middle. But the final weeks, you know, you're looking at 67%, 63%, 61%, 57%, and then 67% the last week. I mean, when he's getting closer to 70, 75%, and they're using him like a real weapon that he is, I mean, you can't sit there and say that he doesn't have all the tangible skills. This guy's still really, really young. It was his 4th year in the league?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he's still really, really young. A ton of miles left on those legs. You know, hasn't had the tax from last year. He only had to play half the season. You know, that's a half season of legs still. You know, like when you're looking at being fresh and not having all those miles and all those touches under you and being beaten up. You know, I'm looking for Hunt. You know, honestly, I'm looking ahead. I'm waiting for 2021. I want to see where this guy lands so I can pick him up in the first round next year.
Yeah. Another thing to think about, Chubb is a running back to be used on a team that is ahead because they're just going to be pounding the ball.
Sure.
But Cleveland tends to be behind. I'm not saying that they're going to lose a ton of games. I honestly have no clue. But they tend to be behind. And Kareem Hunt's going to be used in those passing downs. And he's going to get a lot more play. You know, that's basically it. And that's going to take away from Chubb's shares and yardage.
All right, so I think that's a good place to wrap up the Nick Chubb prop. We both agreed we're on the under. Personally, I'm going to stay away. Don't want to touch it with any of my money whatsoever. Let's jump into the next one, which is Kareem Hunt. So Kareem Hunt's prop for the season is 58.5 catches. So he had 4.6 catches a game in the 8 games that he played last year. What's that break out to?
I'm actually pulling them up right now.
6 times 16. That's 73 catches. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but 73 over 55 doesn't seem like a disrespectful amount of margin. And on paper, looking at it, I would think, yeah, take the over. He's going to get used a lot, right? You look at all the touches he had in the offense last year. He had 43 rush attempts in 8 games. He had, 44 targets and 37 catches. So he caught just about everything that was thrown to him.
84%.
Yeah, first and foremost, caught everything that was thrown to him. And 2, they showed an immediate inclination to give him the ball. Like, it wasn't like, oh, yeah, we'll give him like 5, 6 touches. No, they gave him at least 10 touches a game but between rushing and passing. He didn't really rush the ball that much in his final weeks, but damn, he caught the ball a good amount.
He had 4 targets less than Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
For the season.
That's incredible.
For the season. Good point, Nick. Yeah, 44 targets in 8 games. Nick Chubb had, 49 targets the entire season?
36 receptions, 1 less than Kareem Hunt, and he played the entire season.
Like that's a big factor, guys. You need to be looking at this. You don't want to overvalue Chubb, and you have to respect the value that Hunt provides this offense. 58 catches, 58 and a half catches. I still want to say the under. I feel like it's a trap, like it's a Vegas trap that they're trying to post too low a number, and for all I know, he may just get used instead of those touches being reception opportunities. He's getting them running up the middle of the field. I have no idea. It seems like a low number, but with OBJ there, with Landry there, adding Hooper, already having Njoku, it just seems like a trap. I got to say the under.
OBJ had 133 targets for 74 receptions.
It's a lot.
Jarvis Landry had 138 targets for 83 receptions.
It's a lot.
They're giving like 30 less. His percentage is way higher in like catch percentage, but you got to think he's catching screens, swing passes, like
anything out of the backfield, around the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and OBJ is more of a downfield threat, but OBJ is going to be getting a lot more looks from Baker because that's what Baker is. He's a downfield thrower. They have two awesome receiving weapons for him. Kareem Hunt, last year, I mean, kind of just looking at it face value, you're like, man, 58.5 is not that bad. I was thinking almost to over, but man, it's a different type of offense. It's going to be a different coach.
Too many questions.
Yeah, there's just too many variables, and again, it's the Browns. It's just not sure if you're going to pull it off. So, I'm going to go under on that as well.
The most Browns thing ever would for both of them to get hurt like in weeks 1 through 4. That's for you, Cleveland.
Yeah,
I don't need to knock for me. I'm not going to draft Nick Chubb early on, and if I'm taking
factory of sadness.
Speaking from a lot of experience there, Nick.
yeah, a little bit.
I'm not going to reach at Chubb in the first couple rounds, and Hunt, if he falls in my lap, thank you, everyone in my draft. Like if he falls in my lap in round 7 or 8, I'm going to be all about it. I think round 5 is too rich from that last mock that we did. I think that's a little too high. That's like starting quarterback territory for single quarterback leagues.
Drafted behind Keenan Allen, James Conner, and Tyler Lockett, and
who are some guys behind him?
AJ Green, Mark Ingram, Zach Ertz, Mark Andrews, DJ Shark, Deebo Samuel.
Too rich.
Devontae Parker.
Too rich. What? Deebo Samuel won in that draft?
6th round.
6th round. Way too rich, guys. Way too. Computers are just stupid. That's really depressing. 6th round for Deebo Samuel. What did they draft? Like 5 receivers already. All right, so that wraps up the Chubb and Hunt. I know we spent a lot of time on those guys, but wanted to talk. Both of them dueling their props. It's an interesting backfield, an interesting situation. So really looking forward to see how that works out there in Cleveland. Hey, for a Cleveland Browns fan, I hope it's all positive. Nothing against any of those guys. I don't have no issue with teams that have had no success having success. No issue with that at all. So moving on to our last prop and our last topic, we have the Dak Prescott prop at 27.5 passing touchdowns. That number actually did go up. It was at 26.5 before, and I was a little concerned that they put it up. But typically when I see like numbers go up, I start to feel better about my takes and my pick on them, especially on something like this where I'm on the over. 27.5 passing touchdowns for Dak Prescott. It probably sounds like a lot because I think last year was the only year that he actually hit over this number.
Yes.
How many passing touchdowns? 32?
30.
30. So 30 passing touchdowns last year. So only giving you about 2.5 touchdowns of room here. 26.5 maybe seemed a little bit better. 3.5 over 2.5. But I'm all about it. I'm all over Amari Cooper. I'm all over Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb. I love this combination of receivers. You still have Ezekiel Elliott there, one of the best runners in the game, a top 5 offensive line. I love all the opportunity for Dallas this year. Dude wants to get paid, no?
Yeah, it's a contract year. I mean,
he wants $1 billion. So.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins, even though I don't think he's the top quarterback in the NFL, he is serviceable, but he was able to perform in his contract year. I hope the same thing for Dak. Jerry Jones was on his yacht and decided to give him another weapon in CeeDee Lamb, who's one of the top targets in college football. He also caught balls from Baker Mayfield. This number is honestly way too low for me. I'm going to take the over because too low because he went 8-8 last year and threw for 4,900 yards and 30 touchdowns.
Notably bad up against good teams. Notably good up against bad teams, right? So like that the theme is there, and I'm sure all the anti-Cowboys, Cowboy haters, NFC East members, no, yeah, I'm sure all these people will be all over us about his inconsistency, the lack of production against good teams, good secondaries. Guys, he has another weapon in CeeDee Lamb there. That's not just your average run of the mill wide receiver. Adding him with Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup is huge. It's like adding Quinn to Mac. When you put in that type of skill level into a room that already is super talented, it brings everybody up. It's just what's going to happen. I am not saying that he's going to throw for over 5,000 yards this year. 27.5 is a really good-looking number to me. What you said is too low of a number. How much higher will you be willing to go? If this number was at 30 passing touchdowns, you're going to take it? Over?
At 30, no. No, I'm not going to take 30. But, he threw 30 touchdowns and did Amari Cooper get acquired last year or the year before?
The last year, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He was there all year.
So you can honestly see when you break it down weekly for him last year, you can see how the production actually increased as Amari Cooper was on there. So CeeDee Lamb, he's the same type, the silent type, the one that's just going to do his job. He's an elite route runner. He's just another weapon. The only person that's really going to suffer from this is Ezekiel Elliott. Those are touches that are going to be lost because it's going to be more of a passing attack.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. I could see it.
And Mike McCarthy's there. Like just saying, like Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, it was pretty high flying back then. So I see the same thing happen. They had Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and was it Jimmy Graham doing good there for like a half? No, he did good in
Saints.
New Orleans. Yeah, but anyway, I just see that happening. I just see Dak basically having a career year and possibly getting $1 million and becoming an owner of maybe the Texas Rangers.
There you go. Because that's what you do when you get like $500,000 or $1 billion, right? You buy
baseball money and football.
Buy a part of a baseball team, especially when you get baseball money. Like if you get paid baseball money, you should probably give back to the people that are monitoring your actual wealth, right? I still think Zeke is going to get over 1,800 total yards this year. They do have some targets to make up for Witten and Randall Cobb leaving, so there is obviously some space for CeeDee Lamb to fill as far as the amount of targets that are available to go around. But I see them winning more games in 2020. I see them winning 10, 11 games this year with the offense that they have. They lost Byron Jones on defense. Yeah, that sucks. But okay, if you're not bullish on their defense, then great. Hopefully the defense lets up a few more points, and this offense has to go to work a lot early and more often, right? Maybe they have to pass the ball to Zeke more. I think that's going to be more in play this year with adding a guy like Lamb. As far as like you mentioned, like the passing more versus rushing more, I see this as a huge opportunity for Zeke because you're not going to be able to press coverage underneath with a guy like Lamb, who I assume will play out of the slot. I don't know if that's going to be the case this year. I think that he should. I think that Gallup and Cooper are very well established on the outside, and they should plug in a very fast and speedy guy underneath. I don't think Lamb has the legs to go deep in the secondary to burn elite defensive backs, but that's where I would be using this guy. Crossing the field, coming around the line of scrimmage, end around reverses, get a little bit more gadgetry with him, and I see him being able to do that more than a Gallup and Cooper.
Yes, absolutely. Going back to how Justin said that Jason Witten and Randall Cobb were being replaced.
Their targets were going to be fulfilled. Like their production was going to be fulfilled by CeeDee Lamb's presence.
Yeah. So what is actually available to be thrown around, what has to be distributed, is 166 targets and 118 catches, and also 1,300 yards. So, you got to expect Gallup and Cooper to get some more. Whoever's the tight end is going to get some touches. But there's a lot of production that is available for CeeDee Lamb to take, and he's used to getting 1,000 yards in the season. So I see no reason why. There's also 7 touchdowns available, to get. So I just see Dak Prescott just taking full advantage of his new weapon and then getting his bag and, either – staying with the Cowboys or just piecing out, but he's going to have fun this year because I think Jerry's just going to let the ball fly.
Yeah, I hope that Dak really mind fucks the Cowboys this year, and after all this not getting the contract, I hope he goes off, gets the nut, and I hope he gets paid wherever he goes. The Cowboys have Andy Dalton there, and if they're ready to move forward without Dak, Not so sure about that, but hey, you can always trade those a bunch of picks for going up and getting Trevor Lawrence if you want to. If you really if you want to play real Jerry's world, let's just throw out everything and go get a new quarterback. We'll give him $500 million. Screw Dak. Anyways, Dak's production last year, like we said, really good up against bad teams, really bad up against good teams. I think that the opportunities this year for positive production are going to be at higher percentage, right? I think he's going to have more opportunity to put up those big number games this year with a more fulfilled lineup with CeeDee Lamb. Randall Cobb is not the same type of receiver. It's not even close. I mean, having someone else with that type of skill set, literally not that far behind an Amari Cooper or Michael Gallup, both guys who had over 100 targets last year. So I see him coming in, being able to fill a big hole for Dak this year and being able to give him some solid progression in numbers. If the number was at 30 total passing touchdowns, I may not feel so confident, but I think 29.5. I think no, I'm just kidding. I mean, if the number goes up much more, I don't know if I would continue to take the over. That's what books do. They already saw that they had it at too low at 26.5. Now they have it at 27.5. For all I know, by week 1, it could climb up to 30. 30 is kind of the magic number in the NFL for passing touchdowns. A lot of people are always measuring how many quarterbacks had over 30 each year. It's just becoming a more offensive league. So I just think that's going to be an occurrence that you continue to see consistently. So I feel really good about Dak this year. Give me over 27.5 passing touchdowns. Any final thoughts there, Nick?
Nope.
All right, cool. Well, that's today's episode, guys. This was Take It to the Hizzy, TITTH number 29. Appreciate you coming out, showing your support. Go ahead and smash the like button, share the video. We'll see you guys next time. We'll have a little bit of a lull here. Nick's got the rest of the week off, so we'll be filming again on Sunday. So look out for another video from us probably next coming Monday. Take care. Enjoy the week.
See you guys. Have a good day.
Take It to the Hizzy. We'll see you.